Okay. Hi. This is going to be uh, my testimony of the week-long vision from God. So, yeah, I'm outside today and it is warm, finally. So, and also there's distractions that happen. I don't know if you guys notice, but it seems like whenever I make a video, I get highly distracted for reasons that are kind of obvious. So, yeah, I'm gonna jump into this video and talk about my testimony of the week-long vision. But here is a note from the last video. This is about at the part where I was trying to hide from God. This is the verse that came up in the Bible about that. So it is Hebrews chapter 4 verse 13 in the New International Version. Yeah. And it says, nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid bare before the eyes of him to whom we must give account. So yeah, you can't hide from God, which I found out through this week-long vision anyway. So this is going to be kind of a free flow, but not really, because I have notes. So if God's leading me to free flow during it, or just let him say what he needs to say, then I will do that. But if I don't feel it, or it doesn't feel right, then I'm just gonna go with what I have written, because I couldn't remember this all the way until I like sat with him last night and he was reminding me of stuff. So anyway, so during that week I was experiencing a lot of emotional turmoil. It was like I said, the week of the 1-year anniversary of my mom's death. And so I kind of dismissed the vision that I had, the Judgment Day vision. I had kind of dismissed that and, I don't know, chucked it up as coincidence, I guess. But anyway, this day I was sitting in the living room on the couch, and my ex-fiance's friend was sitting at the dining room table. So we're kind of across the room from each other. So, but we're kind of like sitting facing each other. We had a simultaneous vision. So we were smoking weed, which I don't recommend if you're, I just don't recommend it, but hey. So we were smoking, which I never smoked. I couldn't get myself to smoke with him alone after that ever again because of what happens. So we both smoke, and I start getting like these weird feelings. So I start like uncontrollably laughing and like sitting, like getting up and sitting back down and getting up and sitting back down, because I'm like noticing stuff. I can't remember if his face had looked like my mom's face or something, and that's why I was doing that. I really can't remember, but yeah, he ends up telling me that when I was like sitting back and forth from the couch and walking around, and I even ran outside of the house and back into the apartment because just was seeing a lot. He told me that I looked like a girl that he used to talk to, I guess, like talk to, you know, converse with romantically or whatever. So he saw me behaving like a girl that he knew. And then I just saw stuff. I don't know. I saw my mom in him. So whatever. Because I was nervous, I ran outside. And as I go outside, I look well, first off, I'm barefoot again, and second off, um, I start walking towards a different building in the apartment complex, and it starts looking like a scene from my childhood. So God recreated, um, there was an apartment complex that I grew up in, and my mom used to have a blue Jeep, and she used to park it in a specific spot. For some reason, this apartment complex building, I had never seen it like that before, but it started to look like the apartment complex that I grew up in. We lived there probably 7 years. And so as I was looking at it, I was like, there's no way that this is what that is. And then I thought in my mind, if a yellow butterfly flies over my head right now, then I know this is God. And that's exactly what happened. I see a yellow butterfly go over my head, and I start bawling. And I'll tell you why I started bawling. In Christianity, a yellow butterfly can represent the spirit of like a deceased loved one. But also, my mom had a thing with butterflies. My mom loved butterflies. And then also when she passed, I would always see yellow butterflies and be like, oh, that's my mom. Like, oh, there goes my mom. You know, that type of thing. So when I saw the butterfly, I start immediately bawling, crying. So yeah, when I saw it, I couldn't deny it. So about the friend, I'll give you a little backstory on him so you have kind of something to go off of, so you know kind of who he is, or like what his belief system was. He used to be Christian, but identified at the time, I don't know what he identifies as now, but this is what he identified with at the time. He identified as a warlock and someone who believed in Zoroastrianism. After I had that vision, I was convinced that I was more convinced that God was the path, but I guess the friend kind of wanted to show me that I was going down the wrong direction, or I was choosing the wrong thing. To believe in or whatever. So, let me see. So he started showing me videos about his belief systems and like certain people that he believed in and listened to, and none of it felt right. So I was still kind of rejecting my initial Judgment Day experience, but when I had that vision, it kind of changed everything. And it seemed like the longer that I started to reject my experiences with God, the more intense it became. So God started talking to me through everything, through movies, through the Netflix idle screen. You know, when you're just on Netflix and it's just sitting on the screen because you don't know what to watch. I started seeing the movies, and it would be like Drag Me to Hell and The Devil's Got Me and The Exorcist and just all this stuff. And he was really showing me how demonic a lot of the stuff that we watch is, or how a lot of the stuff that we watch has hidden messages in it. He was talking to me through secular songs, both alternative and non-alternative songs, and through my sight, so like visions and stuff. I want to note that I could not sleep without gospel music on at this point, and my ex-fiance, I remember we were watching Black Panther, and I cannot watch that movie to this day. A lot of Disney movies have meanings and extra stuff that I just be peeping the stuff. I be peeping the stuff, so I can't watch certain things. And so that's one of the things that I really could not watch, which he really loved to watch. He really liked watching Venom. Couldn't watch it. I was hearing all the extra stuff, all the stuff. I was hearing everything. So yeah. A few songs in particular that God used to use that would trip me out was Blue Lights by Georgia Smith. Used to really scare me because when she says the blue lights are coming for you, I used to get scared. Chris Brown featuring Drake, No Guidance. God used to really talk to me through that one. He used to be like, you got it, girl, you got it. I don't want to play no games. And when he said six guys talking, I ain't trying to get preachy, I was like feeling it. I was like, okay, God, I hear you. J. Cole, Pretty Little Fears. In Black, 6 Lat, whatever you want to say. That started making me question my relationship, because when I heard J. Cole's verse, I was like, okay, like that's what a man loving a woman really sounds like. And then Riot by Summer Walker was how I was feeling internally, I guess. So I wrote these down just as like to show you guys that God can talk to you through anything really, secular music. But this is him meeting me where I was at that time. I ended up finding out through this experience that I'm the kind of person who has to guard my eye gates and my ear gates, because I can't just watch anything and I can't just listen to everything and everybody. So this is it was kind of showing me that you have to have discernment with what you allow into your spirit. Yeah, so I was open to a lot of warfare at that time. So, well, I don't think it was warfare. It was God, definitely, and He was just trying to show me stuff, a lot of things. So, yeah. So towards the end of my lease, which was, well, I guess this was kind of towards the end of my lease, but it was like we still had a few months. My apartment ended up having roach problems, and yeah, I was having visions. So it got to a point where like everybody else would see the roaches during the day, and then I would see them at night mostly, but I was always seeing roaches that nobody else saw. So it was like, it was so weird, because it would get to a point where I would point out the roaches, like, oh my God, there's a roach. Oh my God, there's a roach, because I don't like roaches. Nobody else would see the roaches. Like, even in the daytime, when I would point them out, if I would see any roach, I'd point it out, and I'd be like, oh my God, there's a roach, and I'd be wanting somebody to kill it. Nobody else was seeing the roaches. Like, it was straight annoying. It was annoying me, and it was driving me crazy because I couldn't sleep because I was afraid of the roaches. I could not be in the dark, because when I was in the dark, the roaches would really come out in the dark. And because nobody was seeing it, if I'm seeing a cluster of roaches in the dark and nobody else is seeing it, it was freaking me out. It was throwing me off. So I could not be in the dark by myself. I was running in and out of rooms at night, like freaked out. Yeah. So I would drive to work. This is what I started to say in the first video, and ended up realizing that that was after. Anyway, I was driving to my ex-fiance's job a lot to pick him up from work, and I would hear I would hear the water, and I would, I used to be afraid of hearing the water come over the mountains, but I would hear the water. Yo, the enemy is really trying to distract me right now, but we're not gonna let that happen. I would hear the water and feel like it was gonna come over the mountains. And like I said in the first video, I didn't know about God's covenant at the time, so I was terrified driving around, and I could hear it everywhere. Like everywhere I drove in the car, I was hearing the water. I would go outside. I love how nobody be outside, and then I start doing this video and everybody and their grandmama is driving. Anyway, whatever. I'm sorry, y'all. Distraction. Yeah, God started ministering me through the lights on the garage doors in my apartment complex. So, because I would go outside at night sometimes and feel like I needed air, or feel like it was too stuffy in the apartment and I couldn't breathe and I was seeing all this stuff, so I would go outside and it would help kind of calm me. But sometimes it was dark out, it would be night, so the lights on the garage doors would be on. Well, some of them were on, and God ministered to me about what he was trying to show me through that. So it was like most of the lights would be off, some of the lights would be flickering on and off, and then other lights would be like maybe 3 or 4 lights would be just on. God ministered to me about that represented kind of like the state of the world. So it was showing the lights that were off represented the unsaved people, and most of them were off. The lights that were on represented the people who were, you know, in God, and then the lights that were flickering represented they represented the lukewarm Christians. So which I think everybody kind of knows what a lukewarm Christian is. I'm gonna just tell you just in case you don't know. A lukewarm Christian is like a Christian who believes in God but doesn't actively practice the teachings of Jesus Christ, or they claim Christianity, they claim Christianity, they know of salvation, they know of Jesus Christ, but they don't actively participate in doing whatever it is that God needs them to do, or they kind of like, they're lukewarm. Which it talks about that in the Bible. I'll probably leave in the description a scripture about it if I remember to, because this is a kind of long video and I'm rushing. He also was telling me at this time that I needed to end my engagement, which I was disobedient for a number of reasons and for a long time. So he told me that I needed to end my engagement. I was like, my thought process at the time was, you know, you weren't around when I got, you know, why would you let me get into the relationship? And then now that I'm in the relationship and I'm engaged and I'm attached to his children and stuff, now I'm being told I have to leave the relationship. And I was attached, so it was a lot. But I'll talk, I can make another video about my engagement and God, my relationships, and how God worked all that stuff out. So I'm still going through the vision at this time, and I was calling people all that week asking them what they knew about God, because I needed somebody to talk to. Normally I would have talked to my mom, but you know, she passed, and she's the person that I knew who knew the most about God. And while she was here, I never took the opportunity to really have an open enough heart to listen to her. But now that she had passed, it was something that I needed to know. So I started calling my aunt and my cousin, because they were the two people that I knew were most in Christ. I even apologized to my cousin, because when I was in tarot, I had been very disrespectful towards her because she openly didn't agree with what I was participating in. So she vocalized that to me, and I got really upset, and I had like been really rude to her about it, and you know, so God had even led me to apologize about that, and we now have like we now have a really good relationship, which is cool. But yeah, I was being reminded of God while I was at work. When I would go to work, they used to have a radio on. I worked at I'm a warehouse worker. I tend to stick in warehouses, but this was like a car dealership. We you know, a car dealership. We used to put the car parts into the 18-wheelers. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, while I was at work, I heard Highway to Hell on the radio, and it petrified me because, like I said, I kept hearing all of these things that kept letting me know God was real and leading me back to him. It got to a point where I was at work looking and probably sounding really crazy because I was going around like asking people, is God real? Like, do you believe in God? And then like I would go outside in between working and like pour water out of a water bottle on my head, and I just looked crazy. Like I was out here. And if I remember correctly, I quit that same job that week because I was dealing with all of this stuff and sexual harassment on the job, and I could not deal with like all this stuff piled on top of each other. So I ended up leaving my job, and I couldn't take it. I ended up going to Walmart, and it was cloudy and it was raining outside, and I just had like this deep dark fear. Like this fear rose up in me that God was going to strike me down with lightning in the Walmart. So yeah, this all leads up to me getting saved. So yeah, so I ended up this video is almost over, by the way, because I'm gonna talk about how I got saved in the next video. But in this video, I'm gonna leave it off with how I, you know, the day of. So I ended up calling my aunt, and I don't remember what happened, but she ended up inviting me to her church. Probably because I've been calling for days, like freaking out. So she ends up inviting me to go to church with her. She ends up inviting me to go to church with her, and I ended up accepting and saying yes because I felt like I was being tormented by the enemy, and I wanted it to stop. So this is where I'm going to leave off for the next video to continue at. So I hope you guys enjoyed the week of my the week-long Vision from God testimony.